The Quran is pretty blunt when it talks about the Christian doctrine of the Trinity, and by blunt, I mean it totally misses the point. Surah 4:171 and Surah 5:116 try to critique what they think the Trinity is, but reading these verses is like watching someone walk into a math exam and start answering chemistry questions. Spoiler alert, it's not going to end well. Let's break down why this matters and why the Quran's take on the Trinity feels like a giant facepalm. First, Surah 4:171 tells Christians not to say three and claims that God is just one. No arguments here. Christians also say that God is one, but then things get dicey. Surah 5:116 shows a misunderstanding with God supposedly asking Jesus, "Did you say to people, take me and my mother as gods besides Allah?" Honestly, it's almost like Jesus would have responded, no, where would you have gotten that idea? Because there's zero Christian doctrine that elevates Mary to divine status, much less in the context of the Trinity. Now, there were the Coloridians, a tiny fringe sect that might be the source of the Quran's bizarre notion that Christians worship Mary as part of the Trinity. This group, active in the Arabian Peninsula during the 4th and 5th centuries, supposedly venerated Mary to the point of offering her bread sacrifices, but here's the thing. They were condemned as heretics by the broader Christian community. We know very little about them, mostly from the writings of Epiphanius of Salamis, who explicitly rejected their practices. The Coloridians were a blip on the radar of Christian history, yet somehow this obscure long-dead group seems to have influenced the Quran's distorted view on mainstream Christian belief, or the Quran is just completely confused. This would have been a great opportunity for Allah to say, don't worship Father, Son, and Holy Spirit either. On the best case scenario, this is like basing your entire understanding of Christianity on some extreme cult that no one took seriously. But wait, it gets even worse. Surah 5:73 through 75 doesn't just misunderstand the Trinity, it absolutely mangles it beyond recognition. The Quran accuses Christians of believing in a third of three, which no Christian has ever believed, and then it throws in a ridiculous argument about Jesus and Mary eating food, as if that somehow blows the whole doctrine out of the water. Seriously, first off, Christians don't believe in three gods, and again, they do not think of Mary as part of the Trinity. And second, yes, Jesus ate food because he became fully human. That's the entire point of the Incarnation. But wait, it gets even goofier. In Surah 6:101, the Quran takes its misunderstanding of basic Christian theology to a whole nother level. It says, how can God have a son when he has no consort? In other words, the goofy-ah Christians think that God has to have sex in order to have a child, which is a massive misfire. The idea that God would need a mate, like some pagan deity, to have a son, is not even remotely close to the Christian view of Jesus. Christians believe Jesus is the Son of God, not because he had a consort, but because of his eternal relationship with the Father. John 1:1 makes it crystal clear that Jesus existed with God from the very beginning. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. What's weird is that even later in the Quran, in Surah 19:35, it says, "It is not befitting for Allah to take a son. Glory be to him. When he decrees a matter, he only says be, and it is." A few verses earlier, Mary asks Gabriel how she will conceive without being touched by a man, because Muslims also believe in the virgin birth, and the angel Gabriel assures her that God makes all things easy. So wait a minute. Earlier, God needed a consort, and now he can just command a virgin birth into existence? This is an obvious contradiction. And yet, we're told that this is Allah's eternal speech, the perfect divine revelation. But if that's the case, why is it so busy creating absurd straw men about what Christians actually believe? Something just doesn't add up.